Okay, I want to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah, Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who teach the Bible in 100% truth, and Shalom to the hopeful elect of the 12 tribes of Israel, starting with the Negroes and Tinos of Native Americans in the land of North, Central, and South America, as well as the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners living amongst the other nations. Shalom to you. Okay, today I'm back. More scriptures, and we're looking at the powers that be and the way that they manipulate the world. And this is an article. What's this? The People's Voice. And this says leaked FEMA memo orders a media blackout of the Maui disaster. And so I haven't gone into this subject as of yet, but I'm not really gonna, I'm gonna try to keep the keywords to a minimum as to not upset the algorithm. But you've probably heard about this situation recently. This, in Hawaii, you have a place called Maui, and in Maui, there was a Waui situation, the Waui in Maui, and so I don't know, like I say, I haven't gone into this subject as of yet, but if you've been looking around, you've been watching, the certain particular videos, certain channels people will give you 100% truth, especially the men of the GMS, then you're going to understand what's been happening in this particular area. So-called fires, burning down properties, and then this linked to man-made causes, purposely done. If you're looking into this subject, you'll find the topic of the color blue of quite a significance in this situation, in this area, in where where this Waui in Maui took place. And so we've seen, yet again, we're seeing the elites making moves, and they covet fields. Scriptures tell us that they covet fields. They look at areas, lands, countries, and cities, so on and so forth, and these Edomites, they say, yeah, we can take this, we can have this. There's good resources here. We want it for this particular reason. So either by installing puppet leaders, or sometimes by brute force, you see these Edomites, these elites go in and pretty much take over and do their thing. It's a form of robbery, but it's a high level form of robbery. It's not the low level form of robbery that you see on the street, that you see Jake commit. So this particular situation with the Waui that happened in Maui, you should know about it by now. And this article is relating to that. This is August the 23rd. It says leaked FEMA memo orders a media blackout of the Maui Waui, the disaster. Similar to the situation of the MOTB. We're in the time where the MOTB is moving very fast, very quickly, and any day now you're going to see the implementation of that on a global scale right in your face, and you're going to be told to use it, and at some point you're going to be told that's the only way in which you can buy or sell. And so with that, with those in the spirit of Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, those who are doing the job of prophets, should be telling you of this particular prophecy in detail well before it happens. And we've been doing that, and the powers that be, you have these men out here on YouTube. These are meek men of low stature, no major significance around the world. They may have channels of, on my channel I've got 97 subscribers. You might have 1,000, 5,000, and really these are all small fish. These people speaking this truth when it comes to the amount of information in the world of media that's out there. Yet the powers that be, they hunt us down to remove our videos when we talk about the MOTB. And in a way, what they're trying to create is a media blackout. And this is something that the Edomites, these ruling elites, do in this society that we live in today. And when you try to bring this information to the average person, if they're very simple-minded and the spirit is not working with them, and their eyes, the spiritual eye, is not open, then they will call this a conspiracy theory. But, these are the people that are either likely to be destroyed or go into captivity come the day of the Lord. And so the leaked FEMA memo orders media blackout of the Wowie in the Maui. FEMA issued a complete mainstream media blackout of all reporting on the Maui wildfire disaster. Yeah, as if it's, we know that this is not a wildfire disaster, this is a man-made disaster. Like I mentioned, if you're new to this situation, you just have to look up Maui alongside the color blue, and might lead you to Project Bluebeam, some people have mentioned, and then you'll discover what really took place recently. That the Wowie in Maui was not a wildfire, it was something else, according to a newly leaked memo. The letter dated 19th of August 2023 orders media organizations to cease and desist showing any new footage of the unfolding disaster. So this is a tweet from Anthony Cabasa. This is exclusive. A person wishing to stay anonymous has sent me this email by FEMA, sent to their non-profit, who is headed to Maui to help with disaster relief. They say they are being asked to stop posting any images or videos while on the ground, effective immediately. And so what you're seeing here is a picture of this particular letter from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, Washington, D.C., 2047-2. FEMA, August 19th, 2023. It says, out of respect for those who perished, we were asked by Maui County officials to pause on posting on social media and elsewhere new imagery of damage, disaster debris starting now. They're asking for a full stop on disaster imagery going forward. At this time, we have not been asked to take any photos or video down. Our team on the ground is coordinating with the country for further guidance to ensure we remain fully aligned. Cultural sensitivity is of the utmost importance in all our response and recovery activities to the disaster. And this is, you can see who it's there, Justin Angel Knighton, Director, Office of External Affairs, Federal Emergency Management Agency. And so they're saying that they're going to bring this media blackout effective immediately, August the 19th. And they want to black out the information that's coming out. And they're saying that they've been asked by the people of Maui to stop doing that out of respect. Now, every time you've seen a natural disaster around the world, you've seen, you go to certain places and life is really bad. The government are treating people really badly. They're suffering. They're struggling to eat. There's a lot of crime going on. When these people go into these particular places and film and speak to the people in these particular areas going through these particular disasters, what do they always want to do? They will always want to speak to the media to push their message out there to the world to get some sort of aid or relief or help. So when it was 9/11, they pushed the message out there to the world. Look, feel sorry for us. Any situations you see happening in Africa, you send a camera crew down there. He's on TV. Next thing you know, this guy in Africa is on the TV. What's he saying? He's saying that the government are treating us like rubbish, and somebody needs to stop this. And people try to speak to the world through the media about the troubles they're experiencing in that particular place. People in China try to do this, but they get shut down. They get cut off from the internet outside of China. So, this is a first, shall we say. First time we've seen people go through a so-called massive natural disaster, and now they're like, oh, we don't, close the cameras. We don't want anybody to see. Just leave us to it. We'll just get on with it. And so what, they just want to get on with it, and they don't want no one to feel sorry for them. They want no one to know what's happened. They just want to be left to get on with their problems and just deal with it while we just have a good time and we don't worry about Maui. Does that make sense? So this is the first time I've seen this particular situation. But anyway, they make it sound like a good cause. But maybe there's something sinister going on. Like I say, if you look up Maui and the color blue, certain things will start to be revealed. The truth, because it was signed off on as Justin Angel 19, who is the director of FEMA's office of External Affairs. A person wishing to stay anonymous has sent me this email by FEMA, sent to their non-profit who is headed to Maui to help with the disaster relief. Antonio Cabasa reported. They say they are being asked to stop posting any images or videos while on the ground, effective immediately. The August 19 letter states, we just read that, so there's no need to read that again. Trending policies reports this squares with other reports such as that given by Fox News, Will Kane. So Will Kane has put here, we believe we are the only national media in West Maui. I haven't seen any other crews. They try to censor us and shut us down. West Maui is a media-free zone. We only got through the checkpoints because I'm a property owner in West Maui. They have this place on info. So this is obviously someone backing up that story. This is someone from Fox News. To be clear, there have been many amazing citizen journalists and local news. Like Maui now is great. But when you attempt to control information, you sow the seed of conspiracy theory. You know a resource that's missing in Maui, information. So that's what they're saying. This particular guy is saying at the minute. The only thing that's missing in Maui at the minute is information, and no one's getting it. They're trying to obviously do their best. The little pieces are coming out, and it's quite easy to put two and two together. So, like I say, if you look up Maui, you look up the color blue, all will be revealed. It says we believe we are the only national media in West Maui, Kane said. I haven't seen any other crews, and they try to censor us and shut us down. West Maui is a media-free zone. It's pretty much repeating what it said. We only got through the checkpoints because I'm a property owner in West Maui. They have this place on info lockdown from Waihi to Malawi. So, kind of like what they want to do with this MOTB. They want information lockdown. They want everybody's information, biometrics, your whereabouts, and your banking, financial information, everything, your passport information, your documentation, your driver's license. They want it all on that chip. That's like an information lockdown. All information has to get locked down into this MOTB and supposedly put inside you. And that's the new world order. That's what we're about to experience very soon, the MOTB. And in the time of Jacob's trouble, says to be clear, there have been many amazing citizens, journalists, and local news like Maui. This is pretty much just repeating. So this one is Nick Sauter. He's one such citizen journalist doing yeoman's work, shedding light on the deteriorating situation in Maui. It says, while Biden flies around in circles above Maui, residents are trapped on closed roads for the next several hours. Biden will then be meeting with pre-selected residents and will not be taking media questions. Go figure. And so here we have some images here of people trying to escape. And it's 21st of August, 11:30 p.m. Don't know if that's the time it was posted, or I doubt that's when the pictures were taken. I think it's the time when the post was made. It says, when Sauter was asked if the military ever mobilized to set up camps and supplies for survivors, his response was sobering. It's essentially all volunteer and non-profit operations. he said. FEMA is doing practically nothing. Very frustrating. Nonetheless, FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell insists that she and Biden have been in close communication throughout the entire disaster response. This is RNC Research, another tweet. There are potentially 1,000 people who have perished in the Maui wildfires. How can we not know more about this many days out? Biden FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell, there's a lot of different reasons on why people are unaccounted for. So that's pretty much the article, and so it's pretty plain, simple, easy to understand. You've probably come across this information yourself. And these are the Edomites up to their tricks again. But like I explained, there's different levels of robbery. You've got that high level of robbery that these Edomites commit. And you've also got a low level robbery that Jake commits. Go out on the street and they commit this low level robbery. So this is Proverbs 26. Start at 26, 24. But when we look at the top here, what do we have? It has similitudes and instructions. So, if you're looking for instructions, you can go to Proverbs 26, gives you instructions according to wisdom, knowledge, and understanding given to us by Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, the true power of the heavens and earth and the universe. So Proverbs 26, 24 says, He that hateth dissembleth with his lips, and layeth up deceit within him. When he speaketh fair, believe him not, for there are 7 abominations in his heart, whose hatred is covered by deceit. His wickedness shall be showed before the whole congregation. Whoso diggeth a pit shall fall therein, and he that rolleth a stone, it shall return upon him. So this is speaking about the wicked. You've been given these instructions through these scriptures by Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, how to be righteous, how to not be wicked. And the examples are given here, of certain things that take place with the wicked, and we see them play out in front of us in our daily lives. It says, He that hateth dissembleth with his lips, and layeth up deceit within him. So, they'll come out and say, we want a media blackout. And, first of all, what these elites do, for some reason, they want this particular area. You go to this particular area, certain people's houses have not been burnt down, and people like Oprah Winfrey, so on and so forth. Yet, normal people who are living around that area, their properties have been completely demolished, obliterated, turned into ash. So for that to take place, something's happening. And so what these Edomites, these elites, they do, they'll look at a place, they covet these fields. So they'll look at a place like Maui, and they'll say, we want that for this particular reason. So they start to disassemble it with their lips. They say, well, these people, F these people, we can just get rid of them. They're just little people that are living there. We've got certain things that we can do, and we'll protect our own, and we'll get rid of these other people. These banking elites pretty much look at human beings like ants. So they say, well, we're in this particular area, we can go in there, we can cause a bit of destruction. A few people might die, a few people might have their whole lives destroyed and have to completely start their whole lives all over again. But F them, because we need to do that, and they don't really deserve it. We are who we are, and we can take what we want. So this is where they start to dissembleth with his lips, and layeth up deceit within him. So they then think of ways, how can we take that land from them? We can cause a so-called natural disaster, make it look like it wasn't, like it was unexpected occurrence, natural occurrence. This also relates to the everyday, day-to-day situations. You're dealing with wicked people in general. A lot of them are Edomites, but then these other nations, especially Jake, follow the ways of these Edomites in this modern day. So you step out onto the sports field, and you're Israelite. You got that spirit on you, and your level of performance rises above everybody else on that sports field. And what will these wicked do? They will disassemble you from the sideline with their lips. Since the last 25, 30 years, I've been watching football in Europe, and they constantly try to remove racism out of football, kick racism out of football, yet they can't. It doesn't disappear, and it never changes. And the reason why it never changes is because ultimately, once you're affiliated with a team, everybody else becomes an enemy. So what these people are doing on the sidelines, they're watching other teams and they're disassembling people. Sometimes they do it over the race, over the color of what people are. If you're looking at someone and he's got extra talent, you say, well, we don't like this guy. So what you can do is you disassemble him with his lips. You say, well, look, every time they highlight a mistake, say, look at this guy made this mistake. But people make mistakes on the sports field. And if you do 10 good things right and one bad thing, these people mention it and they bring you down. They do it to Jake sports stars all the time. There's a guy recently, let me look it up for you. Hang on, there's this guy recently, Mason Greenwood. You might have heard of him. Now, Mason Greenwood is a professional football player in the UK. And he's got a situation where he got into this scenario with his woman, and bits of information were put onto social media, and it pretty much ended up with him. It pretty much ended up with him being on a rape charge a year and a half ago. So his football team suspended him. They said, look, we're not going to play you for a bit. He's up and coming talent, and he's got a lot of talent. So they suspended him. Now, a year and a half's gone by, and a year later, after that situation, at the beginning of this year, the police came out and said, look, we're going to drop the rape charges. We don't have enough evidence to go forth with it. So this so-called crime that he committed, nobody's going to press charges against him for it. So he technically hasn't committed a crime. The same woman that he had the situation with, he's gone on to get that same woman pregnant. So that woman that was in that scenario with him on the social media situation, they're now having a child together. So you can't really, have it in for this particular person. If he was accused of something, the police then said we don't have evidence to charge him with it, and the person who is supposed to have committed this crime against is now having his child. So, there's nothing really guilty to find him against. So a year and a half later, technically he should be allowed back into his team. What they've said is they've come out and they said, we can't allow you back in the team. It's not good for this, that, and the other. But ultimately, what has he done wrong? And see, this happens to a lot of Israelite sports personalities. These Edomites are the accuser of our brethren, the Israelites. So they accuse us of all these certain things. They accuse us of being wicked. They say, they put us in these scenarios and they make it seem as if we're wicked, and they disassemble us with our lips. So they will see your talent and they'll see you shining, but then as soon as you slip up, you may not have actually committed a crime, but they'll treat you as if you committed a crime, and that's their chance to pull the plug. Now, the manager that you can see here and the actual team themselves would want him back. They would be happy to take him back. It's the businessmen involved that stop it happening. And so now this particular person has to restart his career. Talk was of him going to Saudi Arabia to play because they offer good money. And the talk is now you can't go to Saudi Arabia because Saudi Arabia is saying, well, we don't want to touch you with that type of reputation. Well, what reputation? He hasn't committed a crime. So, what they do ultimately, they'll you as an Israelite, you go to work, you're trying to do your job, and you think there's nothing wrong, you're turning up on time, you're doing things. But people, through the Spirit, sometimes you can't blame it on your skin color. It's through the Spirit. You're in a time where the Most High has you under curses as punishment. So your enemy will look at you, disassemble you with their lips and lay up the seat for you. And one day you'll turn up to work and they'll tell you, we're letting you go because we've had to do this and that. We can't afford you no more. That's how you become first last hired, first fired. It says, when he speaketh fair, believe him not, for there are 7 abominations in his heart. So these Edomites come out in this particular article that I just showed, and they're saying, we don't want to, we can't show images from Maui out of respect for the people. It says here, when he speaketh fair. So it sounds very fair, but if you're going through a massive disaster and your whole life has been turned upside down, you don't even have a bed to put your head down on at night anymore, as of right now. Wouldn't you want someone to know about it and to put your plight out there? Nobody wants to beg, but ultimately, this is like, we're talking about a whole chunk of land just completely wiped out, turned into nothing. All these people are now in no man's land with nowhere to go. Everything has been taken away from them. So surely they're going to want someone to come to their aid. But the media are saying, no, we're going to do a blackout out of respect for them. It sounds fair, but really it's a way of suffocating them more in that scenario. And now there's talk of, elites offering them money for their property, these particular people, low amounts of money for their property, and saying, well, look at your property, it's burnt down to the ground. No one's going to give you nothing for it. I'm a banking elite, and I'll give you 25% of what your property is worth, but at least you get something out of it. And these people have to take it. So they've pretty much, disassembled the situation with their lips. They laid up upon the seat, worked out this idea, we can do it. He speaketh fair, but you should believe him not, for there are 7 abominations within his heart, whose hatred is covered by deceit. You see, so when they're hating on you, they're hating on Mason Greenwood, they're hating on you, the Israelite at work, they're hating on you in Maui, and they look at what you've got and they say, "Now we don't, this. We try to, Israelites are put in a situation where we're the lowest in society. They keep us in the lowest jobs. They give us black culture, which a lot of our people cling on to like a life support machine. Yet it's the most polluted culture, the most low level, down to earth. It's almost caveman like culture, the black culture. That's what it is. It's almost caveman like culture, and it's the lowest form of culture on this earth. They gave it to you. They designed it. They laid up the seat. And then they gave it to you as people. They designed it in the form of hip hop and this black fashion and all this other stupid shit that goes with it. And ultimately, they hate on you, and they cover it. They use their deceit to cover the hatred. And that's why hip hop there is ultimately the way, especially today in 2023, you look at hip hop and it's just plain and simple. It's there to destroy the minds of black people in black culture that has been set up by deceit and pushed in your face for you to accept it, and that is born out of their hatred for you. And that's why when you get into that culture, it ultimately destroy you. You'll end up with tattoos on your face and so on and so forth. It says his wickedness shall be showed before the whole congregation. And so these Edomites are going to be revealed slowly as we get towards the day of the Lord. This information is coming out. And when they make this MOTB mandatory, all this talk about conspiracy theory in the whole wide world is just going to be totally dead. The day that they make the MOTB mandatory, nobody will ever be able to rubbish you off with the phrase conspiracy theory again, because the biggest conspiracy theory ever would have literally just slapped them in the face when the New World Order say, we're here, here's the chip, you need to take it. It says, whose diggeth a pit shall fall therein, and he that rolleth a stone, it shall return upon him. So that's what's going to happen to these Edomites. They're coming out and they speak, they try and make it sound fair, But ultimately, it's all going to roll back upon them, especially when Yahweh returns for the judgment of Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh. Now, I was looking at that last verse, Proverbs 26:27. Whoso diggeth a pit shall fall therein, and he that rolleth a stone, it shall return upon him. Now, I don't know why the Spirit told me to go to the commentary of this particular precept, so I did, and the reading is nice. This is Ellicott's commentary for English readers. Whoso diggeth a pit shall fall therein. This is a simile taken from hunters making pits as traps for wild animals. So who is the hunter? These Edomites, Esau. Jacob is that plain man dwelling in tents. You give Jacob a nice dinner and a woman and a little bit of entertainment, he won't move. He'll be there, stuck there for hours. But these Edomites are constantly on the go, hunting out lands, hunting out technology, hunting out with their science. It started off with hunting out with their swords and their bow and arrow, and hunting animals, so on and so forth. And now it's developed into, they go out into space and hunt that out in their spacecraft or whatever. It says, so this is what it is. Whoso diggeth a pit, these cunning hunters, these Edomites, especially these banking elites, they dig a pit which ultimately they will fall in themselves. This is the same doctrine of retribution being brought upon sinner's head by the Most High, the righteous judge, is taught in Psalms 7 and 11. So the Benson commentary is also another nice reading. It says, whoso diggeth a pit, it says that another may fall into it, shall fall therein himself. For by the righteous judgment of the Most High, the wicked are not only generally disappointed in their designs, and that's what's going to happen when it comes to this MOTB especially, this whole thing. I've gone into before the fact that these Edomites are playing it very carefully as to when to make this MOTB mandatory. They're putting these things out there, these feelers into the worldwide population, these test runs and these scenarios, and they're watching the feedback that they're getting. And they're trying to work out how easily it will be accepted by the population. They're trying to, pre-program and subconsciously get the population to want to accept it. So by putting these things out there, these test runs of the MOTB, they're ultimately getting you to giving you the feelers for it. And so when they feel like they're getting good feedback, that's when they're going to hit you with this MOTB mandatory. So this is this is the biggest Edomite plan that they've got going. That this is everything, this whole new world order. And ultimately, as it says here, the wicked are not only generally disappointed in their designs, but involve themselves in that mischief which they intended to do to others. It says, Psalms 9, that's Psalms 7 and 15, Psalms 9 and 15. And then it says, and he that rolleth a stone, namely up a hill, with a design to do mischief to some person or thing with it. So these Edomites, when they come out with these deceitful plans, and they're trying to, cause mischief to other people to ultimately remove them out of the way so they can take over resources, so on and so forth. And what they're doing is they're ultimately rolling a stone up a hill. It says it will return upon him and greatly injure, if not crush him to pieces. And that's what Yahweh Shai is coming to do, crush this kingdom to pieces. There's kingdoms have come and gone in various different ways. And the kingdom that we're in now, which is about to end, is going to go down like no other kingdom done so on the planet Earth. You got a time of Jacob's trouble, which is around the corner, months away. Could be 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months. Jacob's trouble is around the corner. Then you have the end of this kingdom. Scriptures tell you this is a time like never been seen before on this planet. So there's been no time in history as bad as the time that you're about to witness in the next, you know, like I say, 6, 12, 18, 24 months. However, there's going to be no time like it beyond that, because after Jacob's trouble, Jacob goes into the kingdom of heaven. So there will be no trouble ever again. And we've been through a hell of a lot of trouble up until this point, but none of it has been as bad as it's going to be in the time of Jacob's trouble. This is it's described as a time like never been seen before. It's the worst time for Israelites in the entire history of the universe. It's pretty much like that. That's how bad Jacob's trouble is going to get. And the destruction of this kingdom, the crushing of this kingdom by Yahushua is going to come with so-called UFO invasion, nuclear ICBM war, and just general upheaval between different men on the streets. So you're just going to have all-out beef all over the world during this time of Jacob's trouble, a time like never been seen before. And like I say, the end of this kingdom coming, Yahushua is coming, if not to injure, but to crush him to pieces. So yeah, I hope that was edifying. I'm going to leave it right there. Until next time, I'm going to say all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Rakak Kwadash. And until next time, Shalom.